G'day, community, and welcome to the Jock, Reynolds podcast. I'm Lekdog. I'm joined, as always, by my best friend in the whole wide world, Patch. How are you?
I'm good, Lekdog. I'm very, very good. Very excited about what this week is bringing for the podcast. How are you, my good friend?
Oh, mate, we're getting through. We will continue to fight and we'll continue to Supercoach until, forever, basically. We're stuck forever. But the exciting thing is we've got the great man. The community will know this man, General Soreness. General joins us today. He's ranked 4th overall at this late stage in the season. General, how are you, you beautiful human being?
Well, I'm doing very well, Lek. Absolutely very well. Well, sitting at 4th, I'm doing better than well. Bit stoked, bit surprised, and mate, happy to be here.
I never realised you could actually get into single digits in Supercoach. It's really impressive to see that you can. So well done, mate. We are going to ask you many, many questions. But before we do, thank you to Telebeats for the intro music you've just heard, community. And also a shout out. We've done a few T-shirts this year through Punt Life. That's puntlife.store. And there's a whole new range. There's a whole new Jock Reynolds range featuring your team's colours. And if your team's not there, shoot us a message and we can add it there. We're interested to see what people are keen to jump on, Patch. There's longies, there's jumpers, there's T-shirts. Jump on puntlife.store/collection/Jock Reynolds or go to puntlife.store and you'll see the Jock Reynolds drop-down menu. But Patch, they are some beautiful T-shirts sitting there.
They are indeed. I still haven't taken off my JREL jumper. It's just on all the time. Brilliant quality, nice and warm. I mean, I know we pushed hard to not have T-shirts at all and make it mandatory to purchase a long sleeve garment. But there was a bit of pushback on that. So just, if you're going to pick one up, make sure it's long sleeve. Support Cade Simpson, support Corey Enright, support all of your favorite heroes that wore long sleeves and just refuse to purchase a short sleeve shirt.
Legally, you have to wear a long sleeve. All right, the business is out of the way, Patch. We got a huge week of fantasy football ahead. It's another bye round, so it's best 18. The good news is, which I didn't realise, it's going to help my trade plans. There's 3 trades to use this week, and the teams missing will be Brisbane and Adelaide. Patch, best 18. We've talked about it before, guns and rookies, but General, let's go straight into it. Before we talk about the rookies to buy, the primos to buy, what are your thoughts about this round and what are the key things you're thinking about around your trading?
Oh, mate, the thing that I'm looking at is that, obviously best 18 makes life a little bit easier. And at this stage, most teams, I think, will be only fielding a couple of rooks. I'm looking at getting rid of those rooks and freeing up some cash, looking at taking that cash into round 15 and ideally completing a team, knowing that round 15 we're missing more than 2 teams.
Yeah, Patch, is that the focus for everyone this week? It's like, in all likelihood, you got a full team this week, full 18, so gear up for next round?
Yeah, I think if there's any way you can look at gearing up for next round and just making some of those preparations, then it's probably a good idea. But it's also, at this time of year, you're also sitting there and looking, some people will just be focusing on leagues. They've got cash leagues to win. They've got important things to do, places to be, like grand finals, and they don't care about stuffing up their rank because that's all they want is glory in the office, glory in the schoolyard. And I think there's a different tactic for people now focusing on leagues as opposed to people like General who need to make up the 11-point gap between him and first, and people like me who need to make up the 700-point gap between myself and General. And I think that distinction does matter because you then change your strategies. You'd look to, if you win this week and pump all your points into this week, you skip next week. Although leagues do that, skip next week anyway, don't they?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I think it's depending on the league, but yeah.
But yeah, you kind of look at that and make your decision there as to what exactly you're looking to do this week. But yeah, if you can prepare for next week, if you can get in more players, you've got more than 18 next week, you're laughing, really.
Look, there's quite a few players I want to talk about today. There's rookies to look at. There's bargains to look at. There's players we need to bin. The biggest topic of discussion, one of the biggest topics of discussion this week, has been the thought of trading out Lachie Neale, one of the greatest fantasy beasts we've ever seen. He pumped out a paltry 72 on the week, and he has a bye this week. General, I'll direct this one at you. You don't have to answer specifically to your team. You're at the pointy end. You can keep your secrets to yourself. But generally speaking, Lachie Neale, is this someone you want to trade?
Generally not. But I've got to tell you, if I was looking at it from just a league perspective, as Patch was alluding to earlier, then I'd seriously consider it. But you'd want to make sure that you've got a plan to get him straight back. So any plan to trade him out would be a plan to get him straight back. And I'm not sure that everyone's going to be enamoured with that many trades or that luxury to be able to trade like that. If you do have that luxury, great. But yeah, it wouldn't be someone I'd be looking to trade out unless, I had the trades to get him back and a plan to get him back.
Yeah, I feel like it almost might be the week to just sort of stock up, and then next week we do the old jump from some of these primos that we're missing next week, and you jump from, say, a Todd Goldstein to a Nick Nat if he's not rested, or a Mitch Duncan jumping to a Lachie Neale if you don't have him, or to someone like a Jared Lyons, who I'm looking very closely at, who is having an incredible year as well. I feel like that might almost be the move. I think people jumping off already might be jumping too early.
Yeah, I certainly agree. I'm not jumping off Lachie Neale. Having said that, I've jumped off Max Gawn twice this season. So anything's possible, baby. It's 2020. Guys, we have quite a few rookies to look at this week, which is I didn't think would be the case. And they might save us throughout these buys, some of these guys. So we've got Jake Riccardi, debuted for GWS, $117,000 forward line player. He scored 82 on his debut. My question to you fellas, and I'll go to you first, General. Are you confident bringing in someone with this guy's job security? He replaced Finlayson in that lineup. And do you think he can hold his spot throughout the buys?
I'd like to think so, but no, I have no confidence whatsoever. I reckon I've got more burns than I've got fingers from GWS rookies.
That is true. They refuse to give it to us. After giving us
Horrible.
so much service in those first couple of years when every player they had was rookie price, they don't like us anymore. No,
definitely don't feel the love on the Supercoach front.
And Patch, I'll direct this one to you. Irving Mosquito, 123.9k forward for Essendon, debuted last week. He had 77. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he's a small forward, zippy player. He's got Joe Danaher to come back from the team. I don't think means anything, but that's happening.
Joe Danaher is back. I can't believe we didn't lead that from the top. General is another Bombers man. Good to have the outnumber finally on this podcast. Just complete sidetrack because that's what we do here. General Danaher back. Did you ever think you'd see it?
No, I didn't think I'd see it. And now that he is back, I'll review the Lachie Neale question again, and we might go from Lachie Neale straight to Danaher. It sounds like a plan.
Okay, you heard it. You heard it here first.
$500,000, it'd be worth it, all right.
All he's got to do is pump out 100. Actually, he could pump out 10 and he'd still be outscoring Lachie Neale this round. You win either way.
Absolutely.
He's never averaged more than 68 in a season outside of 2017 when he averaged at 86. So, there are going to be people that jump on Joe Danaher at $270,000 this week. It's going to happen. And if he tons up, they're going to feel vindicated. But, geez, it's a dangerous path.
Oh, he could ton up this week and then do his groin next week. He wouldn't want to. Anyway, people that are bringing him in know something I don't. But your question about Irving Mosquito, my God, he was exciting to watch. He won't score 77 each week, but I feel like he'll get a decent run at it, especially with Fantasia out of the side and, a few iffy question marks over Essendon's forward line because our forward line is garbage, because we've got no attacking structure, I think Mosquito's a good pick before I start ranting about Essendon.
We do have a couple more rookies. I just want to touch on Xavier O'Neill, debuted for West Coast, midfielder, 124k. It's hard to know anyone's job security over at West Coast. He scored 59. look, if you're desperate for a midfielder, maybe he's someone you can consider. They've had their bye. I don't love it. I don't love him as a selection. Jordan Butts debuted for Adelaide. They've got a bye, so don't worry about him this week. And some confirmed starters. We already touched on Joe Danaher, but Bailey Williams, guys, ruck defense, West Coast to debut. Two-pronged question, probably for you, General. If you're a Nick Nat owner, should you be worried? And is this someone that might save our teams?
I'm not sure he's saving anything. He's probably going to upset a few people's floating donuts. But look, we'll make some money. I don't think Nick Nat owners should be too worried. I think he's coming in for an injured Oscar Allen. As a non-Nick Nat owner, I sort of wish it was the other way around. But that's Supercoach.
And Patch, we've also had confirmation today that Thompson Dow, I believe he's Paddy Dow's brother, debuting for Richmond at 117 grand. Don't know anything about it. Don't trust Richmond to play rookies, but it's a nice thing to have.
It is a nice thing to have, and maybe have a look at him. I wouldn't be bringing him in this week, but hey, he's a player that is playing. Minaro Frederick has played 6 games, and he's finally started making cash. This year's Noah Bolter scored 70 on the weekend and is roaring into form at $142,000 dues. Will play, won't score, averaging 33, but he's an option. And your man, Lekdog, Ben Stratton, 45 on the weekend.
Huge news for the Strat watch. He's been up and down this year, but he is up and about at the moment. And, he got up for game 200, and I'm heavily considering as a defensive buy-in option.
Under 200K, that is value. He's outperforming his average by a long way. Just look
Has he outscored total points? Has he outscored Isaac Rankin yet? Not Matt Rowell yet?
What did Matt? I don't think so. He's on 442 from 13 games.
So a few more games he might catch him.
More. His form's on the way up. It's 30, 39, 45 in his last 3.
He's trending up.
He's trending up. What can we say? Trade him in.
All right. To get some of these guys, though, we've got to trade out someone. And there's a few players who have probably hit their straps. I don't know if that's the right term, but it's the one I'm using. Isaac Rankin owners. He's got a break-even of 81. He's hit 315K. Is it time to sell on the ranking?
Yes.
Thanks. I'll edit out that awkward.
Yes.
I'll edit out that awkward.
No, you won't.
Silence.
No, you won't.
No, I'll leave it in.
Hello, awkward silence. Hello, listeners. See how the sausage is made.
Darcy Cameron sputtered it up on the weekend. Look, if he holds his place, his break-even's 102. He's only 286 grand. General, are you keeping someone like a Darcy Cameron for ruck cover, or are you just binning him at a break-even of 102?
Nah, binning. Wouldn't be holding him for ruck cover.
I support that. There's a few other guys I think that fall into that boat patch. Jake Arts, break-even 66. John Noble, break-even 83. People running with Will Dane, defense, break-even 61. Butterick, break-even 56, which is pretty low, but he's a spud in terms of scoring for Supercoach this year. And Tommy Sparrow, injured, break-even of 80. All of those players are viable trade options down to, one of the Mosquitoes, Ricardis, O'Neills, one of the guys we've previously mentioned. But here's what people come. They come for the juicy goss. They come for the hot tips, the primos that you should be getting in. People want to upgrade. They don't care about downgrading. So I've listed a few names, and you guys can tell me what you think. Look, I'm not doing anything crazy here. Everyone's talking about these players, Patch, but we may as well address it. Luke McDonald.
Oh, boy.
You love him, Patch.
Oh, boy.
553K.
Who couldn't love that?
126 over his last 6.
Who couldn't love that beard, really? Like, that beard is exceptional. We've all moved on from that weird COVID thing he did to Connor McKenna earlier in the year. He's scoring points. He's the new Jake Lloyd, just seagulling points like chips out the back. And it's one of those things where you look at it and you're like, oh, the bubble's about to burst. Oh, hang on. He's scored 600 points in 5 weeks and is suddenly 600K. Where did that come from? And I don't know. I don't know where it's come from. I don't know anything about it, but he's at 553K, averaging 133 in his last 3, 126 in his last 5. I'm not going to be the one to jump on him because my backline is full and hopefully no one else gets injured. But honestly, part of me really wants to jump on him just because It's 2020, baby. If ever there is going to be a year that Luke McDonald is a viable option, this is the year. He's got 2.2% ownership. What's the worst that could happen? I mean,
Well, he's got his buy coming up. In general, you're a mastermind of trading and planning. And can you afford to bring in a guy who's got a buy coming up, particularly that round 15 buy? Let's talk in terms of rank at the moment, because I think in terms of if you're playing for league, you can bring in pretty much whoever you want. But in terms of rank, can you afford to bring in someone with the buy?
Not if you're a ranked player, absolutely. No, not with the round 15 bye coming up. You need as many warm bodies on field as you can get. And look, obviously, if you feel like you're going to have a full side anyway, and he's only going to add to that, by all means. But I think a lot of people will be struggling to hit their 18.
So I guess that adds to the next two players I was going to bring up, fellas, and that's Travis Boak, very cheap, 513 grand, averaging 109 over his last five, and Tom Stewart, 483 grand in defense, averaging 107 over his last five. These two players, Patch, are we looking at these guys if they've got the buy, or are we heeding General's advice and steering well and truly clear?
I mean, yeah, if you're going for rank, you do have to steer clear. And, you could look at these guys potentially after they've had their buy to do a sneaky trade in. Boak's an excellent option. Stewart, you know what Stewart's going to do. You know what you're going to get from him. You're going to get a 95 and then a buy and then 105 and then a 90 and then 105 and then 110. And he's going to be consistent. That's what he does. Yeah, Boak intrigues me, maybe, but yeah, with the buy, it kind of complicates things, as the great man has alluded to.
Patch, is there any Essendon, well, Patch and General, you're the Essendon experts. Are there any Essendon or Melbourne players that you're targeting? Obviously, they don't have a buy. There's a few teams that don't have a buy, but I feel like, given you're in the space of Essendon, who are you looking at?
Danaher!
I was going to say, anyone else other than Danaher? Surely Danaher's just straight into everybody's teams, 100% ownership coming.
If you're not trading Joe Danaher in, you're an idiot. Especially those of you listening who are in the top 200, trade him in. Just do it. Zach Merritt intrigues me.
If they're in the top 200, they're not listening to us, Patch.
No, shut up, Lekdog. Let me dream. Zach Merritt is in good form. Essendon are doing weird things in terms of football, but his last 4 games, which is me cherry picking 4 decent scores, is 119, 137, 97 against St Kilda, and 143. We know what Zach Merritt does. We know that I love Zach Merritt. He's good at football. He will score you plenty of points. Don't think he'll get rested. Got Hawthorn, West Coast, Geelong, Port, and Melbourne to come. He 573k rather. He's decent. He's good. I like him.
Yeah, look, you guys are the Essendon experts. I'll trust your advice. If you had to choose, General, one upgrade in defence, if you're the average punter, you're not top 4, you're someone looking to finish off that defence, maybe on a little bit of a cheaper side, who would you be backing in? Jordan Ridley or Adam Sard?
Oh, look, I'm a big fan of Ridley. He's had a breakout season. I jumped on him fairly early, which was fortunate. Sard, I love watching him play, but from a Supercoach perspective, yeah, I'd be looking to bring in Ridley. The price difference is worth it.
In general, there's one more guy I want to get your thoughts on. Not an Essendon player, he's a Melbourne player. His name's Stephen May. He has been demolishing this season, and we've talked about him a few times. He's still only 432k. His last 9 games, averaging 95 points. He has dropped a 36 in that period of time. Is Stephen May the real deal, or am I getting suckered into some value?
I won't say you've been getting suckered into some value, other than to say that you've been getting suckered into some value. I don't see the love for Steve May, and maybe I don't watch Melbourne enough, but I just keep looking at that standard deviation, and I keep looking at the low versus the ceiling, and he can go very, very low, and the ceiling is not that high.
Yes, I'm a sucker for value. But you look at the start of the season; he had 3 scores of 60 something back to back. He's dropped to 36 amongst a couple of tons. it's a hard one. As someone in my position is probably able to take the risk, but I think if you're in the upper echelon, like you two gentlemen, you're probably not looking at him. Patch, is he someone that intrigues you?
Yeah, I really like him as a league option if you're playing for leagues. Since round 8, he's gone 103, 91, 136, admittedly terrible, and then 115, 110. That's like he's playing well. He's in decent form. He's cheap. So if you've got stuff all money around to actually upgrade any players, 432k is all Stephen May will set you back. I quite rate him as an option. If you're hunting for the very top, you wouldn't be in General's shoes and trading him in, but I think he's a decent pick.
All right. I think it's time to give the people what they want, and that's to ask General, how do we be good at Supercoach? What's the secret cheat code to winning and being in the top 4?
Oh dear, Jesus! I wish I had the cheat code. I've been playing this game for a damn long time, and I keep varying. You make the top 1,000 and then watch it drift out as you change your focus from rank to league because you see that the rank options disappeared. But mate, this year it was the whole focus was starting a lot of the guys with high ceilings that we know play 22. So sort of locked away Neil, Oliver, McRae from the outset. Josh Kelly was my sort of midfield risk. I've always started the 2 big rucks. I've very rarely deviated from that. I learnt quite early on that I think in my first year I went a bit speculative on some rucks and it cost me dearly. So ever since then I always picked the big 2. And this year it was Gawn and Grundy, and they just did what they do.
Did you get many mid-prices in? I know you mentioned you got on Ridley pretty early. Were there any other sort of mid-price speculative picks you jumped on to try and make up some of that ground? Like did you have Brayshaw, for example?
I started Brayshaw and held him through those first couple of games, and that was really testing. I started Short from Richmond in defence, and he's been rock solid defender. So there's sort of 2 of the wins on those mid prices. I used to be a real sucker for lots of mid prices because I thought I could pick every single breakout, and the reality is very few of them do. So the only other one I had was Parrish, and when I saw him in a role that I didn't really love in the first game of the season, I ditched him straight away.
So making those decisions on roll, you don't sit and wait for it. You just like bang, nah, done. I've seen enough. Get out. I'm happy to take if he suddenly turns it around and
only
loves the role.
Yeah, I do. Only for my speculative picks though. So like I took Short, Parrish. Those guys were speculative picks, and Brayshaw to a certain extent, but I was more bullish on Brayshaw than I was on Parrish. So these guys were speculative. So I thought, well, if they come out and do something that I don't like, or they're in a role that I don't like, as opposed to just not playing well, I'll ditch them straight away. And when I saw that Parrish wasn't, spending 100% of the time in the midfield, I quickly jumped off him.
Yeah. So, you're not going to do that with someone like a Jack McRae who's playing on the wing because of some injuries in the team. And, some people jumped off him and he's come out and averaged about 140 since. So,
you pick those primos and hold them.
Yeah. Can you go back in time and tell me that at the start of the year?
Yeah, sort of looking forward, it's obviously, pick the 2 big rucks and only go with a few speculative breakouts. Is there something you'd give people to start looking for next year? Was there anyone you watched at the back end of 2019, like a Brayshaw, and thought if they get into this role in the preseason, or if they move clubs over summer or anything like that, did you start your scouting ahead of time last year?
A little bit. There's guys that come to your attention because you play Supercoach and they sort of start hitting your radar. Like, we're talking about Stephen May, for instance. He's doing stuff that's we're not used to him doing. And if that continued, you'd be looking at him for next year. Unfortunately, with Stephen May, he's probably started his run a bit early and he's going to end up too pricey. So I sort of make a note of those guys at the end of the year to say, hey, these are the ones that were sort of hitting my radar at the end of the year, and I'll put them on a radar for next year. So I end up, just on my notes on my phone, I end up chucking like half a dozen guys in there. And Brayshaw was one of them. Parrish was another. Short wasn't on that list because I wasn't sure that he was going to get the friendly role. And I think, who else did I have on that list? I'm trying to remember.
Well, while you do remember, I've got some late breaking news, everyone. So the teams have dropped for Thursday night footy while we're recording the pod. I'll read them all out. Why not? Minchington, Gunston, Segler in, but out for Hawthorn goes Stratton, which is really disappointing for me,
there
Patch.
we go. That's
Burgoyne and Impey. And Essendon, in comes Cale Hooker, Joe Danaher, Andrew Phillips, out, Bell Chambers, Francis, and Draper. So Draper owners beware. He has been managed, and Richmond West Coast, Nank and Dow in for Stack and Chol. West Coast, Williams and Hutchings in for Allen and Nelson. Interesting to see if Hutchings will run with everyone. I think he's normally a tagger, isn't he?
Yeah.
Or am I having a stroke?
No, definitely not. No, he's been a run with player for a while.
All right, so they're the teams for those who are listening to this live, which isn't happening live. General, rookies, cash generation has been difficult this year. Have you been able to pick most of the good rookies and jump on and off at the right times? Have you made any mistakes in that department? I know I've got about 12 rookies who have made one price rise and then never played again. So how do you manage your rookie scouting, and is it luck or skill?
A bit of both, I think, mate. Supercoach is lots of luck and a little bit of skill. So on that front, I've done reasonably well on some rookies. I've made some good money too off some of my primo trading. So the rookies, I started with Zerk Thatcher, for instance, and I dished him straight away when he wasn't getting the run. George Hardys, I had in my team. I traded him to Rivers. That was not successful. I wish I had have held him. Most of the other rookies, I've done all right at getting the ones that have played well or have stayed around for a while. So I started Brow, paid for him from the start, which I think a lot of people did. That was nothing sort of spectacular, but some were scared off by his price. But if you had followed Callum Toomey or any of the junior comps, you'll see that he was an absolute jet. Just the normal ones that have come through since. So, your Arts. My lucky one, and this is where we come down to luck, is by pure dumb luck. I could not trade Starcevic the other week. And then he rolls out a 99. And then he's rolled out a 79 this week, and now he's got a break even of, I think it's about minus 20 or something like that. And I really need to move him on. But, so that was just pure dumb luck that I got a 99 on field for a guy that I was desperately trying to trade. I just had nowhere to go.
Yeah, it just goes to show the inconsistency of the rookies, and they can come into their own later in the season, but often it's too late for us in Supercoach. I know personally a big focus of mine next year will be not, and it'll help if there's not a 4-month gap or whatever it is between two rounds, but identifying rookies that aren't just talked about like, oh, they could play this year. Like, I'm going to get ones that are going to play early, rather than I had a few players. I was like, I'll sit them on the bench. They're going to play later. I'll save myself a trade. I think you just got to get the guys at the start of the year that are going to be playing.
Yeah, you need that cash early. You really do.
I guess the other key, we've talked about trading and starting selections, is captaincy. It's a big point generator. Have you done anything crazy with your VCCs? Or have you just rolled out with the same pair each and every week, General?
No, I've mixed it up a bit, mate. From time to time, most recently it's been a lot of McRae and Neil swapping the vice captaincy hat. But I have gone a few sort of left of centre ones. I was lucky enough to put it on Kelly when he went big. So I had the VC on him then. I think from memory that was against the Bombers, which
But
people seem
So it hurt,
the
but
less
it was good.
it was good, but and it's been funny. There's been a few because I watch the Bombers so often. I know that pretty much every single midfielder goes bananas against us. So they're a good team to put the VC on if you're coming up. So obviously Mitchell's got them this week. I'm sure Mitchell's running at a fairly good average over the last 5 rounds. There might be a few people who will have a bit of a speculative on Mitchell going pretty well against Essendon. But yeah, so I've had a few like that, but most of the time, Lockie Neal's had the VC or the C. I've got a bit of a man crush on Neal, so you got to go with that more regularly.
Yeah, but it gives you like a cold solace as well as you watch your team crumble before your eyes, and you're just like, yes, McRae is doing it. He's scoring points against me. Keep scoring points. I've got the C on him. It gives you something to at least not want to just throw the remote at the TV, because you want to see, like if anyone's going to destroy me, at least give me something back for it.
Absolutely. It numbs it dulls the pain just ever so slightly.
Exactly.
Yeah, so luck has gone your way so far, General, and we hope it continues. We hope your planning keeps you alive. We've certainly, I'm pretty sure the entire community is behind you. There's thousands of people sitting here absolutely in your corner. So we're completely in support of you. Have you got any last tidbits of advice or a message to send out to the community that's at home listening, thinking about you, and hopefully tanking their teams if they're in the upper echelon, so that you give you an extra bit of a chance?
Well, exactly right. I hope everyone's traded in Danaher immediately, especially those that are above me, especially Isaac, who promised me second, but today has also promised it to Michael Hussey,
I saw
the
that.
Australian cricketer, who's also in the top 10 apparently.
Yeah, that's double standards, first of all. You can't be doing that. You can't be promising second to 2 people. But yeah, the Huss, he's represented Australia, been a hero to many, and now he's a hero to the Supercoach community. It's good to see if it's really him.
Absolutely. So, it'd be nice to finish above him. But yeah, mate, look, in terms of any other bits of advice, the main thing I've tried to do throughout the season is buy the fallen primos, even if it meant going early on a rookie, or going early on another primo that might have needed to be traded out. So and across that, I've managed to pick up Petrarca at under 470, Ridley at 410, Whitfield at 440. So those sort of things have really helped.
Yeah, so you don't feel the need to squeeze every single little dollar out of a rookie if it means you're upgrading that scoring output. I think that's a good piece of advice. Patch, you got anything else, brother?
Not necessarily. I feel like any of the speculative picks this week, I feel like this week kind of you consolidate and then we attack it next week. There are people that are, looking at David Mundy at 475k, who's averaging, 120 in his last 3. Probably a trap. Will probably get managed. There are some players out there that, I think this is the week to hold the fort, and then next week we spring into action. We do a few downgrades here and there. But yeah, otherwise, just look after yourselves, community.
I agree. And thank you, General, once again for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Community, the community members who've been around for years will know you, General. You've been around for many years and taking part in the website, the comments, and on Twitter. People can find you. What's your Twitter handle if people want to find you, General?
Jen Soreness SC.
We'll chuck that in the show notes. Fantastic to have you on, mate. We really appreciate it.
Mate, thanks for having me. It's always good to catch up with you guys. Obviously we speak a fair bit in Twitter, but it's good to be able to talk to you.
No, it's good. We should definitely do this more often.
Absolutely.
And of course, best of luck for taking home that 50k as well. We, as Lex said, we are literally all behind you, which, take it home for us to show that it can be done. And it's not just all luck. There are good people out there that win it. Do it for us, General.
Thanks, guys. No, it's great to hear that. Behind me, and hopefully I can bring it back home. But I just need a little bit more dumb luck, like, holding on to Starcevic to go my way, and we'll see how we go.
Well, community, that'll do us for today. Thank you for joining us, Patch. Thank you for joining me, you beautiful human.
Lekdog, any time I get to hang out with you is time well spent.
Just wanted to shout out one more time. If you're interested in a Jock Reynolds t-shirt in your team's colours, head to puntlife.store/collections/Jock-Reynolds or look for the Jock Reynolds drop-down menu. And yeah, shout out to community. There's heaps of people doing awesome work. Derek in the comments is hosting tournaments, guys like Top Hawk, just a lot of community members who are putting in the hard yards and making the website a great place to be. So thank you for that, and thank you everyone for listening. We love you. Go Blues.
Go Bombers. Go General.
Thanks, guys.